Thank you, Jai Guruji. So we will, without further ado, Chapter 5, A Perfume Saint Displays His Wonders. So to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the sun. I did not have this wisdom of Solomon to comfort me. I gazed searchingly about me on any excursion from home for the face of my destined Guru. But my path did not cross his own until later, after the completion of my high school studies. 2 years elapsed between my flight with Amar toward the Himalayas and the great day of Sri Yukteswar's arrival into my life. During that interim, I met a number of sages, the perfume saint, the tiger swami, Nagendra Nath Baduri, Master Maharshi, and the famous Bengali scientist, Jagadish Chandra Bose. My encounter with the perfume saint had two preambles, one harmonious and the other humorous. God is simple, everything else is complex. So true. So Guruji and Guruji's teachings are very simple, but they seem to be so difficult to apply and to internalize. But he's actually very simple. And he used to say to us, कि simple rehta karo aur spiritual bano. Simplicity and spirituality is what he came to reintroduce us to. So God is simple. Everything else is complex. Do not seek absolute values in the relative world of nature. These philosophical finalities gently entered my ear as I stood silently before a temple image of Kali. Turning, I confronted a tall man whose garb, or lack of it, revealed him a wandering sadhu. You have indeed penetrated the bewilderment of my thoughts. I smiled gratefully. The confusion of benign and terrible aspects in nature, as symbolized by Kali, has puzzled wiser heads than mine. Few there be who solve her mystery. Good and evil is a challenging riddle which life places sphinx lights before every intelligence. Attempting no solution, most men pay forfeit with their lives. Penalty now, even as in the days of Thebes, here and now, a towering, lonely figure never cries defeat. From the maya of duality, he plucks the cleaveless truth of unity. You speak with conviction, sir. I have long exercised an honest introspection, the exquisitely painful approach to wisdom. Self-scrutiny, relentless observance of one's thoughts, is a stark and shattering experience. It pulverizes the stoutest of egos. But true self-analysis mathematically operates to produce seers. The way of self-expression, individual acknowledgements, results in egotists, sure of the right to their private interpretations of God and the universe. Truth humbly retires, no doubt, before such arrogant originality. I was enjoying the discussion. Man can understand no eternal verity as in truth. So man can understand no eternal truth until he has freed himself from pretensions. The human mind, bared to a centuried slime, is teeming with repulsive life of countless world delusions. Struggles of the battlefields pale into insignificance here, when man first contends with inward enemies. So the enemy is never outside of us, as we have all learned. The enemy of anger, jealousy, insecurity, it's always within us. And that is what we need to change within us, to change the enemy into friends, insecurity into a strong sense of security. We don't need to feel insecure about anything. All the inward enemies we can battle out and we can kill through the power of faith, love, compassion. It just dilutes every vice we have within us, which is our enemy, inward enemy, as it says. It kind of dilutes and dissipates with time as we bring out the goodness in us. So no mortal foes these, to be overcome by harrowing array of might, omnipresent, unresting, pursuing man even in sleep, subtly equipped with a miasmic weapon. These soldiers of ignorant lust seek to slay us all. So basically it's all ignorance which is within us. So thoughtless is the man who buries his ideals, surrendering to the common fate. Can he seem other than impotent, wooden, ignominious, respected sir? You have no sympathy for the bewildered masses. The sage was silent for a moment, then answered obliquely, to love both the invisible God, repository of all virtues, and visible man, apparently possessed of none, is often baffling. But ingenuity is equal to the maze. Inner research soon exposes a unity in all human minds, the stalwart kinsman of selfish motive. In one sense, at least, the brotherhood of man stands revealed. An aghast humility follows this leveling discovery. It ripens into compassion for one's fellows, blind to the healing potencies of the soul awaiting exploration. The saints of every age, sir, have felt like yourself for the sorrows of the world. Only the shallow man loses responsiveness to the woes of others' lives as he sinks into narrow suffering of his own. The sadhu's austere face was noticeably softened. The one who practices a scalpel self-dissection will know an expansion of universal pity. Release is given him from the deafening demands of his ego. How nice. The Lord of God flowers on such soil, the love of God. So when we dilute our ego with his grace, and that can only happen with his grace, like Guruji used to say, apni ego chhatkaya karo. But that's also not possible until he blesses us to drop our ego. And when that happens, then the love of God flowers on the soul, the fertile soul of our heart and of our soul, literally soul. The creature finally turns to his creator, if for no other reason than to ask in anguish, why, Lord, why? By ignoble whips and pain, man is driven at last into the infinite presence, whose beauty alone should lure him. The sage and I were present in Calcutta's Kalighat temple, whither I had gone to view its famed magnificence. With a sweeping gesture, my chance companion dismissed the ornate dignity. Bricks and mortar singers no audible tune. The heart opens only to the human chant of being. We strolled to the inviting sunshine at the entrance, where throngs of devotees were passing to and fro. You are young. The sage surveyed me thoughtfully. India, too, is young. The ancient rishis laid down ineradicable patterns of spiritual living. Their hoary dictums suffice for this day and land, not outmoded, not unsophisticated against the guiles of materialism. The disciplinary precepts mold India still. By millennium, more than embarrassed scholars care to commute. The skeptic time has validated Vedic worth. Take it for your heritage. As I was reverently bidding farewell to the eloquent sadhu, he revealed a clairvoyant perception. After you leave here today, an unusual experience will come your way. I quitted the temple precincts and wandered along aimlessly. Turning a corner, I ran into an old acquaintance, one of those long-winded fellows whose conversational powers ignore time and embrace eternity. You know, this is how I'm reminded of Guruji, how, you know, when we were with him, we literally ignored time and we embraced, embraced eternity, literally, by sitting with him, just being with him, just being in his presence. we actually embraced eternity. We didn't know it. We were in bliss, but we still didn't know it. Because our mind, when we have, achieved or attained something so magnificent and extraordinary, will intervene, because the mind can't believe that we're sitting with divinity. So the heart knows, though. That is why Guruji said, when your logic ends, that's when your faith begins, because faith begins from the heart. I will let you go in a very short while, if you will tell me all that has happened during the 6 years of our separation. What a paradox. I must leave you now. But he held me by the hand, forcing out tidbits of information. He was like a ravenous wolf. I thought in amusement. The longer I spoke, the more hungrily he sniffed for news. Inwardly, I petitioned the goddess Kali to devise a graceful means of escape. My companion left me abruptly. I sighed with relief and doubled my pace, dreading any relapse into the garrulous fever. Hearing rapid footsteps behind me, I quickened my speed. I dared not look back, but with a bound, the youth rejoined me, jovially clasping my shoulder. I forgot to tell you of Ganda Baba, perfume saint, who is gracing yonder house. He pointed to a dwelling a few yards distant. Do meet him. He is interesting. You may have an unusual experience. Goodbye. And he actually left me now. The similarly worded prediction of the sadhu at Kalighat temple flashed in my mind. Definitely intrigued, I entered the house and was ushered into a commodious parlor. A crowd of people were sitting, orient-wise, here and there on a thick orange-colored carpet. An awed whisper reached my ear. Behold Ganda Baba on the leopard's skin. He can give the natural perfume of any flower to a scentless one, or revive a wilted blossom, or make a person's skin exude delightful fragrance. So this again reminds us of Guruji. With his own eternal fragrance, he was able to spread his aroma and make the wilted roses blossom, and even make us blossom just by his mere presence. Even when we actually smell his, when we are fortunate and blessed enough to smell his presence, we start glowing with that fragrance. I looked directly at the saint. His quick gaze rested on mine. He was plump and bearded, with dark skin and large gleaming eyes. Son, I am glad to see you. Say what you want. Would you like some perfume? What for? I thought his remark was rather childish. To experience the miraculous way of enjoying perfumes. Harnessing God to make odors. What of it? God makes perfumes anyway. Yes, but he fashions frail bottles of petals for fresh use and discard. Can you materialize flowers? I materialize perfumes, little friend. Then scent factories will go out of business. I will permit them to keep their trade. My own purpose is only to demonstrate the power of God. Sir, is it really necessary to prove God? Isn't he performing miracles in everything, everywhere? Yes, but we too should manifest some of his infinite creative variety. How long did it take to master your art? 12 years. For manufacturing scents by astral means, it seems, my honored saint, you have been wasting a dozen years for fragrances which you can obtain with a few rupees from a florist shop. Perfumes fade with flowers. Perfumes fade with death. Why should I desire that which pleases the body only? Mr. Philosopher, you please my mind. Now stretch forth your right hand. He made a gesture of blessing. I was a few feet away from Ganda Baba. No one else was near enough to contact my body. I extended my hand, which the yogi did not touch. What perfume do you want? Rose. Be it so. So here you go, again, rose. So Guruji's fragrance from his body. It used to exude an aroma of what smelled like rose. So it was, maybe, I mean, it's very hard to describe, but most people say it was a rose fragrance. So there you go. So he used to produce it from his own body. Be it so. To my surprise, a charming fragrance of rose was wafted strongly from the center of my palm. I smilingly took a large white scentless flower from a nearby vase. Can this odorless blossom be permeated with jasmine? Be it so. A jasmine fragrance instantly shot from the petals. I thanked the wonder worker and seated myself by one of his students. He informed me that Ganda Baba, whose proper name was Vishuddh Ananda, had learned many astonishing yoga secrets from a master in Tibet. The Tibetan yogi, I was assured, had attained the age of over 1,000 years. His disciple, Ganda Baba, does not always perform his perfume feats in the simple verbal manner you have just witnessed. The student spoke with obvious pride in his master. His procedure differs widely to accord with diversity. I inwardly resolved not to add myself to their number. A guru too literally marvelous was not to my liking. With polite thanks to Ganda Baba, I departed. Sauntering home, I reflected on the 3 varied encounters the day had brought forth. My sister Uma met me as I entered our Gurpur road door. You are getting quite stylish using perfumes. Without a word, I motioned her to smell my hand. What an attractive rose fragrance. It is unusually strong. Thinking it was strongly unusual, I silently placed the astrally scented blossom under her nostrils. Oh, I love jasmine. She seized the flower. A ludicrous bafflement passed over her face as she repeatedly sniffed the odor of jasmine from a type of flower she knew well to be scentless. Her reactions disarmed my suspicion that Ganda Baba had indulged an autosuggestive state whereby I alone could detect the fragrance. Later, I heard from a friend, Alaknanda, that the perfume saint had a power which I wish were possessed by the starving millions of Asia and today of Europe as well. I was present with 100 other guests at Ganda Baba's home in Burdwan. Alaknanda told me it was a gala occasion because the yogi was reputed to have the power of extracting objects out of thin air. Wow. So Guruji here also used to extract objects out of thin air. And he used to say, "Ye Sachkhand ka prasad hai." So he would, I mean, like they said, Guruji ki mauj mein hum baithe hain. So it was up to him, whatever he wanted to manifest. So anything would be extracted, and people have, Sangat have experienced this phenomena where he's taken out, just manifested, maybe even I know of somebody getting solitaires, somebody getting Sachkhand ka prasad in the form of a laddu or whatever it was. So I guess, again, we can draw parallel over here with Guruji's phenomenal miracles that he used to perform. I laughingly requested him to materialize some of out-of-season tangerines. Immediately, the luchis, which were present in all the banana leaf plates, became puffed up. Each of the bread envelopes proved to contain a peeled tangerine. I bit into my own with some trepidation, but found it delicious. Years later, I understood by inner realization how Ganda Baba accomplished his materializations. The method, alas, is beyond the reach of the world's hungry hordes. The different sensory stimuli to which man reacts, tactual, visual, gustatory, auditory, and olfactory, are produced by vibratory variations in electrons and protons. The vibrations, in turn, are regulated by lifetrons, subtle life forces or finer than atomic energies intelligently charged with the 5 distinctive sensory idea substances. Ganda Baba, turning himself with the cosmic force by certain yogic practices, was able to guide the lifetrons to rearrange their vibratory structure and objectivize the desired result. His perfume, his fruit, and other miracles were actual materializations of mundane vibrations and not inner sensations hypnotically produced. Performances of miracles such as shown by the perfume saint are spectacular but spiritually useless. Having little purpose beyond entertainment, they are digressions from a serious search for God. Hypnotism has been used by physicians in minor operations as a sort of psychical chloroform for persons who might be endangered by anesthetic. But a hypnotic state is harmful to those often subjected to it. A negative psychological effect ensues, which in time deranges the brain cells. Hypnotism is trespass into the territory of another's consciousness. Its temporary phenomena have nothing in common with the miracles performed by men of divine realization. Therefore, Guruji used to say, and he used to say it quite often, ke Reiki na katta karo, pranic healing na katta karo. This hypnotism or past life regression is something that interferes with our brain cells and it can derange us. So therefore he said, mere ko landeo, the sab kuch chhad do. Whether we consult tarot card readers or hypnotists or any such thing which interferes with nature or with his grace, actually interferes with his work. Because जब हम गुरुजी के पास आते हैं, like he said, जब आप मत्था टेकते हो और आप मेरे से सरेंडर कर जाते हो और फिर आपको इधर उधर जाने के भटकने की जरूरत नहीं होती और वैसे भी नहीं करते, बिकॉज ये चीजें करने से कुछ नेगेटिव साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट अगर हो गया तो मेरा काम करना आप पे मुश्किल हो जाता है. So he wants a clear space. So when we come to Guruji, we should not sort of pollute our space by also going here, there, and everywhere, because that just forms a negative space within us, because we start getting into this web and then it becomes harder for him to penetrate. Hypnotism is trespass into the territory of another's consciousness. Its temporary phenomena have nothing in common with the miracles performed by men of divine realization. Awake in God, true saints effect changes in this dream world by means of a will harmoniously attuned to the creative cosmic dreamer. Excuse me. So ostentatious display of unusual powers are decried by masters. The Persian mystic, sorry, can I have hot water? Just hot water, please. So ostentatious display of unusual powers are decried by masters. Oh, my throat is really gone. The Persian mystic Abu said once laughed at certain fakirs who were proud of their miraculous powers over water, air, and space. A frog is also at home in the water, Abu said, pointed out in gentle scorn. The crow and the vulture easily fly in the air. The devil is simultaneously present in the east and in the west. A true man is he who dwells in righteousness among his fellow men, who buys and sells, yet is never for a single instant forgetful of God. So Guruji is the highest form of expression. He's the highest form of power. His supremacy and his potency knows no bounds, and it is completely above and beyond every other practice. Is this hot water? Thank you so much. On another occasion, the great Persian teacher gave his views on the religious life thus: to lay aside what you have in your head, selfish desires and ambitions, to freely bestow what you have in your hand, and never to flinch from the blows of adversity. Neither the impartial sage at Kaligat temple nor the Tibetan trained yogi has satisfied my yearning for a guru. My heart needed no tutor for its recognitions, and cried its own bravos, the more resoundingly because unoften summoned from silence. When I finally met my master, he taught me, by sublimity of example alone, the measure of a true man. So Guruji didn't need to perform miracles, but people, Sangat used to come, and he could perform anything. He would also be able to materialize and manifest anything that the Sangat wanted. Some Sangat would say, कि मुझे Guru Nanak ji के दर्शन दे दीजिए. He would, and if you are ready for it. By and large, he would say, कि दर्शन नहीं मांगते, because he said in his words, कि 60 watt the bulb which मैं 100 watt the energy पा दूंगा, तो वो bulb फट जाएगा. So never ask your guru to give you darshan of any gods. कहंदे मेरे ते पूरा भरोसा बस रखो, रब तो नाल बैठा तुहाडे. But Guruji could manifest himself in any form. So he has given darshans. So he is also able to materialize and manifest. But he was well above that. He said कि चमत्कार नु नमस्कार होता है आजकल, लेकिन वो चमत्कार तो वही है कि हम ही एक चमत्कार है. हम यहाँ बैठे हैं आज, वही एक बहुत बड़ा चमत्कार है. हम गुरुजी से मिले हैं और उनसे ब्लेस हुए, वो भी बहुत बड़ा चमत्कार है. सबसे बड़ा चमत्कार हमारी लाइफ में है हमारी कनेक्टिविटी गुरुजी के साथ. So that is the biggest blessing and the biggest chamatkar. So chamatkar nahi ढूंढने. One day, some sangat said to me after Guruji left his body, कि मैंने सुना है बड़े मंदिर में is a wish fulfilling factory. कि आप जाओ जो wish करोगे वो fulfill हो जाता है. See, but we are really belittling our own thinking, and we are really reducing our own spiritual growth by thinking so small. He is above and beyond. Now, I would like to just ask if it's okay to read a few more pages. Is it okay? Is everybody in a hurry, or you want question and answer?
Yes, Auntie, if whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'm comfortable.
Then we can stop for today.
I want the listener to be comfortable. No, I'm fine. My throat was gone. Yeah. Are we okay? Because we're going to meet the Tiger Swami now, so this should be interesting.
Okay, let's continue. If you're okay and if your throat's okay.
Is the audience fine?
They wouldn't be able to say.
Please be fine. Okay.
Okay, fine. One hand is enough.
Thank you. I have discovered the Tiger Swami's address. Let us visit him tomorrow. This welcome suggestion came from Chandi, one of my high school friends. I was eager to meet the saint who, in his pre-monastic life, had caught and fought tigers with his naked hands. A boyish enthusiasm over such remarkable feats was strong within me. The next day dawned wintry cold, but Chandi and I sallied forth gaily. After much vain hunting in Bhawanipur, outside Calcutta, we arrived at the right house. The door held 2 iron rings, which I sounded piercingly. Notwithstanding the clamor, a servant approached with leisurely gait. His ironical smile implied that visitors, despite their noise, were powerless to disturb the calmness of a saint's home. Feeling the silent rebuke, my companion and I were thankful to be invited into the parlor. Our long wait there caused uncomfortable misgivings. India's unwritten law for the truth seeker is patience. A master may purposely make a test of one's eagerness to meet him. The psychological ruse is freely employed in the West by doctors and dentists. Finally summoned by the servant, Chandi and I entered a sleeping apartment. The famous Sohang Swami was seated on his bed. The sight of his tremendous body affected us strangely. With bulging eyes, we stood speechless. We had never before seen such a chest or such football-like biceps. On an immense neck, the Swami's fierce yet calm face was adorned with flowing locks, beard, and moustache. A hint of dove-like and tiger-like qualities shone in his dark eyes. He was unclothed, save for a tiger's skin with his muscular waist. Finding our voices, my friend and I greeted the monk, expressing our admiration for his prowess in the extraordinary feline arena. Will you not tell us, please, how it is possible to subdue with fair fists the most ferocious of jungle beasts, the royal Bengals? My sons, it is nothing to me to fight tigers. I could do it today if necessary. He gave a childlike laugh. You look upon tigers as tigers. I know them as pussycats. Swamiji, I think I could impress my subconsciousness with the thought that tigers are pussycats. But can I make tigers believe that? Of course, strength is also necessary. One cannot expect victory from a baby who imagines a tiger to be a house cat. Powerful hands are my sufficient weapon. He asked us to follow him to the patio, where he struck the edge of a wall. A brick crashed to the floor. The sky peered boldly through the gaping lost tooth of the wall. I fairly staggered in astonishment. He who can remove mortared bricks from a solid wall with one blow, I thought, must surely be able to displace the teeth of tigers. A number of men have physical powers such as mine, but still lack in cool confidence. Those who are bodily, but not mentally stalwart, may find themselves fainting at mere sight of a wild beast bounding freely in the jungle. The tiger, in his natural ferocity and habitat, is vastly different from the opium-fed circus animal. Many a man with Herculean strength has nonetheless been terrorized into abject helplessness before the onslaught of a royal Bengal. Thus, the tiger has converted the man in his own mind to a state as nerveless as a pussycat. It is possible for a man owning a fairly strong body and an immensely strong determination to turn the tables on the tiger and force it to a conviction of pussycat defenselessness. How often I that the titan before me was able to perform the tiger pussycat metamorphosis. He seemed in a didactic mood. Chandi and I listened respectfully. Mind is the wielder of muscles. The force of a hammer blow depends on the energy applied. The power expressed by a man's bodily instrument depends on his aggressive will and courage. The body is literally manufactured and sustained by mind. That is so true, mind over body. Through pressure of instincts from past lives, strengths or weaknesses percolate gradually into human consciousness. They express as habits, that's true, which in turn ossify into a desirable or an undesirable body. So if I say, in jest I'm saying this, that I am slim, I am healthy, and I am robust, then if we repeat these affirmations, I'm healthy and I am doing my service, then the body does respond. So it's always mind over body. They express as habits, which in turn ossify into a desirable or an undesirable body. Outward frailty has mental origin. In a vicious circle, the habit-bound body thwarts the mind. If the master allows himself to be commanded by a servant, the latter becomes autocratic. The mind is similarly enslaved by submitting to bodily dictation. So true. So I hope you've got this concept. The mind has to be strong for the body to be strong. If we decide, then we are so. So as we think, so are we. So it's all about the mind. At our entreaty, the impressive Swami consented to tell us something of his own life. Well, my earliest ambition was to fight tigers. My will was mighty, but my body was feeble. An ejaculation of surprise broke from me. It appeared incredible that this man now, with Atlantinian shoulders fit to bear, could ever have known weakness. It was by indomitable persistence in thoughts of health and strength that I overcame my handicap. So always think, like Guruji used to say, changa socha karo. Hamisha acha socho. Even if you're feeling a little listless or down or weary, just say, I am good. I am having an absolutely fantastic day. Affirmations really do determine our day's quality and our body's quality. So if I say I am healthy constantly and I'm strong and I'm protected and I am always positive, then my body will respond, because the cells respond to the language, to the human language, because cells themselves have an intelligence. So this is so beautiful, because Guruji used to say, positive riya karo, hamesha changa socha karo. I have it, and he always wanted us to be healthy. He used to say, in fact, he used to encourage us, ek kanta walk kitta karo, chinga khada karo, kat khada karo. He always told me, kat khada karo. That's a challenge I still face today. I'm a foodie. I have every reason to extol the compelling mental vigor which I found to be the real subduer of royal Bengals. Do you think, revered Swami, that I could ever fight tigers? This was the first and the last time that the bizarre ambition ever visited my mind. Yes, he was smiling. But there are many kinds of tigers. Some roam in jungles of human desires. No spiritual benefit accrues by knocking beasts unconscious. Rather be victor over the inner prowlers. Nice. May we hear, sir, how you changed from the tamer of wild tigers to a tamer of wild passions. So beautiful. The vices, again, within us. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar. These are all vices. These are all tigers within us. So these are the ones we need to tame. So it is all about the inner tigers and not the outer. May we hear, sir, how you changed from the tamer of wild tigers to the tamer of wild passions. The tiger Swami fell into silence. Remoteness came into his gaze, summoning visions of bygone years. I discerned his slight mental struggle to decide whether to grant my request. Finally, he smiled in acquiescence. When my fame reached a zenith, it brought the intoxication of pride, as it does. I decided not only to fight tigers, but to display them in various tricks. My ambition was to force savage beasts to behave like domesticated ones. I began to perform my feats publicly with gratifying success. One evening, my father entered my room in pensive mood. Son, I have words of warning. I will save you from coming ills produced by the grinding wheels of cause and effect, karma. Are you a fatalist, father? Should superstition be allowed to discolor the powerful waters of all my activities? I am no fatalist, son, but I believe in the just law of retribution as taught in the holy scriptures. There is resentment against you in the jungle family. Sometime it may act to your cost. So whatever you do, you have to reap what you sow. Father, you astonish me. You well know what tigers are, beautiful but merciless. Even immediately after an enormous meal of some hapless creature, a tiger is fired with fresh lust at sight of a new prey. It may be joyous gazelle frisking over the jungle grass, capturing it and biting and opening in the soft throat. The malevolent beast tastes only a little of the mutely crying blood and goes his wanton way. Tigers are the most contemptible of the jungle breed. Who knows? My blows may inject some slight sanity of consideration into their thick heads. I am headmaster in a forest finishing school to teach them gentle manners. Please, Father, think of me as tiger tamer and never as tiger killer. How could my good actions bring ill upon me? I beg you not to impose any command that I change my way of life. Charlie and I were all attention, understanding the past dilemma. In India, a child does not lightly disobey his parents' wishes. In stoic silence, father listened to my explanation. He followed it with a disclosure which he uttered gravely. Son, you compel me to relate an ominous prediction from the lips of a saint. He approached me yesterday as I sat on the veranda in my daily meditation. Dear friend, I come with a message for your belligerent son. Let him cease his savage activities. Otherwise, his next tiger encounter shall result in his severe wounds, followed by 6 months of deathly sickness. He shall then forsake his former ways and become a monk. It is only when we go through the jungle of life and we realize its hardships and all the wrongdoings that we do, and we reap whatever we sow, that's when we go towards the right path, which is Guruji's path. This tale did not impress me. I considered that father had been the credulous victim of a deluded fanatic. The Tiger Swami made this confession with an impatient gesture, as though at some stupidity. Grimly silent for a long time, he seemed oblivious to our presence. When he took up the dangling thread of this narrative, it was suddenly with subdued voice. Not long after father's warning, I visited the capital city of Kuch Baher. The picturesque territory was new to me, and I expected a restful change. As usual, everywhere, a curious crowd followed me on the streets. I would catch bits of whispered comment. This is the man who fights wild tigers. Has he legs or tree trunks? Look at his face. He must be an incarnation of the king of tigers himself. You know how village urchins function, like final editions of a newspaper. With what speed do the even later speech bulletins of the women circulate from house to house? Within a few hours, the whole city was in a state of excitement over my presence. I was relaxing quietly in the evening when I heard the hoofbeats of galloping horses. They stopped in front of my dwelling place. In came a number of tall, turbaned policemen. I was taken aback. All things are possible unto these creatures of human law, I thought. I wonder if they are going to take me to task about matters utterly unknown to me. But the officers bowed with unwonted courtesy. Honored sir, we are sent to welcome you on behalf of the Prince of Kuch Bahar. He is pleased to invite you to his palace tomorrow morning. I speculated a while on the prospect. For some obscure reason, I felt sharp regret at this interruption in my quiet trip. But the suppliant manner of the policeman moved me. I agreed to go. I was bewildered the next day to be obsequiously escorted from my door into a magnificent coach drawn by 4 horses. A servant held an ornate umbrella to protect me from the scorching sunlight. I enjoyed the pleasant ride through the city and its woodland outskirts. The royal scion himself was at the palace door to welcome me. He preferred his own gold brocaded seat, smilingly placed himself in a chair of simpler design. All this politeness is certainly going to cost me something, I thought in mounting astonishment. The prince's motive emerged after a few casual remarks. My city is filled with rumor that you can fight wild tigers with nothing more than your naked hands. Is it a fact? Is it true? It is quite true. I can scarcely believe it. You are a Calcutta Bengali, nurtured on the white rice of city folk. Be frank, please. Have you not been fighting only spineless, opium-fed animals? His voice was loud and sarcastic, tinged with provincial accent. I vouchsafed no reply to his insulting question. I challenge you to fight my newly caught tiger, Raja Begum. If you can successfully resist him, bind him with a chain, and leave his cage in a conscious state, you shall have this royal Bengal, 7,000 rupees, and many other gifts shall also be bestowed upon you. If you refuse to meet him in combat, I shall blazon your name throughout the state as an impostor. His insolent words struck me like a volley of bullets. I shot an angry acceptance. Half risen from the chair, in his excitement, the prince sank back with a sadistic smile. I was reminded of the Roman emperors who delighted in setting Christians in bestial arenas. The match will be set for a week hence. I regret that I cannot give you permission to view the tiger in advance. Whether the prince feared I might seek to hypnotize the beast or secretly feed him opium, I know not. I left the palace, noting with amusement that the royal umbrella and an applied coach were now missing. The following week, I methodically prepared my mind and body for the coming ordeal. Through my servant, I learned my fantastic tales. The saint's direful prediction to my father has somehow got abroad, enlarging as it ran. Many simple villagers believed that an evil spirit, cursed by the gods, had reincarnated as a tiger, which took various demonic forms at night, but remained a striped animal during the day. This demon tiger was supposed to be the one set to humble me. Another imaginative version was the animal prayers to tiger heaven had achieved a response in the shape of Raja Begum. He was to be the instrument to punish me. The audacious bite, so insulting to the entire tiger species. A furless, fangless man daring to challenge a claw-armed, sturdy-limbed tiger. The concentrated venom of all humiliated tigers, the villagers declared, had gathered momentum sufficient to operate hidden laws and bring about the fall of the proud tiger tamer. My servant further apprised me that the prince was in his element as manager of the bout between man and beast. He has supervised the erection of a storm-proof pavilion designed to accommodate thousands. Its center held Raja Begum in an enormous iron cage, surrounded by an outer safety room. The captive emitted a ceaseless series of blood-curdling roars. He was fed sparingly to kindle a wrathful appetite. Perhaps the prince expected me to be the meal of reward. Crowds from the city and suburbs brought tickets eagerly in response to the beat of drums announcing the unique contest. The day of battle saw hundreds turn away for lack of seats. Many men broke through the tent openings or crowded any space below the galleries. As the Tiger Swami story approached a climax, my excitement mounted with it. Chandi also was raptly mute. I'm going to end there now because the climax is just another page, but we shall read the climax tomorrow if that's okay. Was it question and answers, or this is like, this Swami had really mustered his power and his prowess to fight the tiger. But as we know, it's not about the external muscle power. It's all about the internal. So mind over matters we've learned, and we will read the climax of this, what happens to the tiger guru, tomorrow. Jai Guruji, if there's any questions today?